It started with one mysterious name in the patch notes: Herobrine. Minecraft is full of myths, some creepy, some mysterious, and some that players swear are real. From Herobrine sightings to unsettling sounds deep in the Nether. And trust me, they only get stranger as we go. Stick around because by the end you'll know the truth behind every Minecraft myth. And while Herobrine might be the most famous, it's far from the only one. Some myths are even creepier, like the strange sounds hidden in Minecraft's files. Herobrine. Herobrine is the original Minecraft myth. He's so infamous that more than a decade later, people still argue whether he was ever really in the game or just the greatest hoax in gaming history. The first ever appearance of Herobrine was in 2010 in a 2010 post on the 4chan message board. So who is Herobrine supposed to be? Basically, he's described as a player model with the default Steve skin, except the eyes are completely white. According to the stories, Herobrine would randomly appear in your world, building strange structures, digging tunnels, or even stalking you from a distance. The legend really blew up when a streamer supposedly encountered him during a live stream, and fans started circulating sightings. It got so popular that Mojang themselves leaned into the joke. They literally added "removed Herobrine" into multiple patch notes over the years. And of course, this was peak creepypasta era on the internet. Everyone was swapping scary stories, Slenderman, haunted video games, you name it. Herobrine fit right in. Whole YouTube videos popped up with evidence of him lurking in the fog. Spoiler, the evidence usually looked about as convincing as a blurry Bigfoot photo. But here's the funny part. Even though Mojang has confirmed over and over that Herobrine never existed in the code, the myth refuses to die. He's become such a part of Minecraft's culture that for a lot of players, it almost doesn't matter if he was real. He's like the urban legend of Minecraft, the campfire story you tell your friends while mining late at night. The house for Herobrine is definitely one of the weirdest spin-offs of the Herobrine myth. According to the stories, players would stumble across a strange little cabin in the woods, torches placed perfectly, a door, windows, sometimes even a fenced garden. The idea was that Herobrine wasn't just haunting your world, he was living in it like some creepy neighbor you. But the myth spread through screenshots and videos where people swore they'd found these houses naturally generated. In reality, they were almost always pranks, world seeds with hand-built houses, or just someone's friend sneaking into their world and trolling them. But because it tied back to Herobrine, people ate it up. Herobrine built this house and he's watching you became part of the legend. It got so ridiculous that entire servers popped up dedicated to hunting down Herobrine's house, but they usually looked about as legit as a dark alley. And while Herobrine and his house might have caught the attention of millions, there's some entities in Minecraft that are even crazier. Entity 303. If Herobrine was Minecraft's original boogeyman, then Entity 303 was his so-called successor. The myth claimed that 303 was a rogue Mojang employee who got fired and decided to take revenge by hacking into players' worlds. He's described as looking like a dark figure in a black suit, basically Evil Steve. According to the stories, players who encountered 303 would find their worlds sabotaged, strange netherrack crosses, forests set on fire, or entire builds mysteriously destroyed. The myth first spread around 2014 to 2015, and it blew up because hacker legends were huge at the time. People were paranoid about mods, servers, and creepy chain messages like, "If you don't share this, Entity 303 will corrupt your world tonight." Classic internet scare tactic. Of course, just like Herobrine, Mojang has confirmed Entity 303 doesn't exist. But that didn't stop the community from mixing him into Minecraft's larger mythos. He shows how much Minecraft players love turning simple rumors into full-blown legends. Entity 303 was supposed to be even scarier than Herobrine, but I think the next one did a much better job at that. Null. Null is usually described as a black, empty character model. Basically a player with no skin at all, just a shadow. The name Null itself comes from coding language, meaning nothing or missing value, which gave players the idea that Null was some kind of broken piece of Minecraft that had come to life. According to the myth, Null would appear in single-player worlds, often leaving behind signs that just said Null or stalking players in the shadows. Some people claimed he was connected to corrupted save files or broken seeds, like if you typed certain numbers, you'd summon him. In reality, yeah, it was almost always people trolling with mods or editing screenshots, but that didn't stop the creepypasta community from running wild with it. But something about Null actually seems pretty spooky. I guess everyone has experienced glitches in Minecraft, so the idea that those glitches are some entity is a bit more believable than just a random entity like 303. Of course, Mojang has never confirmed anything about Null, and he's not in the code. But just like Herobrine and Entity 303, the myth stuck around because it made players feel uneasy about a game that's supposed to be safe and simple. Yeah, the Minecraft community seems to love a good myth, and he's not even the last one involving the Steve model. Green Steve. Green Steve is up next, and according to the stories, if you encountered Green Steve, he would act hostile toward the player, showing up in strange places, deleting your worlds, or even crashing your game completely. The first mention of Green Steve was around late 2015, when a player claimed they had encountered him in Minecraft 1.8. The story goes that they were exploring a desert temple, broke the blue block, and fell into the TNT chamber, except the trap never went off. Instead, a Green Steve-like figure dropped down into the hole, and suddenly the player was teleported into a bedrock room filled with creepers. When they logged back in the next day, the world had changed. Their house was there, but the desert had turned into a forest. Then Green Steve appeared again, this time with words flashing on the screen. "Hello, brother!" A moment later, the world was corrupted and deleted. Supposedly, the player even emailed a Mojang developer who claimed that one of the team members had tried to sneak Green Steve into the game. Obviously, there's no proof that any of this is real, just another myth that the Minecraft community built up. Compared to Null or Herobrine, I don't think this guy is nearly as scary and probably not quite as well known, but his creepy stories were memorable enough to stick around. White Endermen. The White Enderman was born when players started to see tall white men instead of tall black men. A white Enderman with green eyes instead of purple eyes, surely it couldn't be real, but it began to show up on forums, and pictures of the creature surfaced, and claims that it could walk on water and would attack players even if they didn't look at its eyes. Some theorize these mysterious Endermen came from the Farlands, which could even be tied back to the game's lore, claiming they were ancient builders like the normal Endermen, but had fled to the Farlands. Of course, none of this turned out to be true, as there is no such thing as a white Enderman, and the myth was likely born from a combination of visual glitches, old game mechanics, and player-created mods and lore. Early visual glitches, such as the haze effect on older versions of the game, sometimes made Endermen appear white or transparent from a distance. As for the Farlands connection, it likely had to do with the fact that the first quote-unquote sighting came from the Farlands. Unknown Shadow. The Unknown Shadow would appear briefly in caves, forests, or at the edge of render distance. Also known as the Shadow Unknown, he was originally a player who sought revenge against the administrators who mocked him. Some say that the original player died to return to haunt the game. This entity wouldn't interact with players directly. It would just watch or follow from afar, vanishing if you got too close. Some versions of the myth say it could mimic the player's movements, while others claim it left behind strange world corruption, like holes in the ground or broken blocks. Don't look at the moon. Don't look at the moon, or you might regret it. This Minecraft myth says that there's code in Minecraft that checks whether or not you're looking at the moon. According to the stories, if you stare at it for too long, especially under certain conditions like a full moon or on specific versions of the game, strange things start to happen. Some players reported their screens slowly tinting red, others said the game would glitch out with weird lighting effects, and a few claimed that shadowy figures or white-eyed entities appeared after watching the moon for too long. One of the more common tales says that after staring at it for a few minutes, the game would suddenly crash, and when you loaded the world again, the moon would be gone from the sky entirely. There are even creepier versions where players swear that the moon starts to move, rotating unnaturally, or even lowering itself toward the ground. Some people claimed they could see faces or eyes inside the moon's texture, or hear faint whispers when looking up at it. Oh, and if you want to chat, share ideas, or just hang out with the community, join our new Minecraft Explainer community. The Discord link's in the description. Hope to see you there. Oldroot. The Oldroot, according to the stories, isn't a mob or an entity, but rather a living, conscious structure that exists somewhere beneath bedrock or far below Y level 0. Honestly, one of the coolest myths. It gives me Dark Souls or Elden Ring vibes. Apparently, if you dig far enough, you might start to see traces of it, things like dark twisted roots or moss running through stone. But it gets scarier as players who found pieces of the Oldroot reported their worlds acting strange. Trees growing in unnatural patterns, chunks refusing to load, animals gathering around empty spots in the forest. Also, apparently according to the myth, if you do manage to wiggle your way deep enough to actually find the true Oldroot, besides being crazy, you'll reach a massive hollow chamber filled with twisting vines and moving branches. Some versions of the myth say the roots will actually try to grab you, which is just rude, pulling you into the ground. Others claim that once you reach the heart of the Oldroot, the world starts to decay. Grass dying, skies darkening, until the game finally crashes. Wake up! Wake up! This Minecraft myth is a popular one, that according to players is a message that can randomly appear in your chat, carved into signs, or even written out in blocks across your world. If so, you're cooked, cause while at first it's just a single wake up message that flashes across the screen for just a split second, it can turn into much worse. Things like sky flickers, mobs freeze in place, doors open and close on their own, and when they try to sleep, the bed message doesn't say you can only sleep at night, but instead, you can't sleep here. Wake up! I guess the Mojang gods don't want you to get your beauty sleep, though some people claim that the wake up message is the game's way of breaking the fourth wall, going into complex simulation mumbo-jumbo. And it doesn't even stop there, as some versions of the myth go even further, claiming that the wake-up message will follow you between worlds or even between computers. No matter how many new saves you make, eventually you'll see that phrase again. Others say the game will start sending cryptic error messages when you close it, or that you'll spawn in a world where everything looks normal, except your player's name tag now reads asleep. Creepy. SCP-4335. SCP-4335 is a little bit of a weird one since it's kind of a mix between normal Minecraft myths and the SCP Foundation, a popular online series about mysterious anomalies. This myth, also titled I Am the Flesh, treats Minecraft itself as a living, evolving organism rather than a video game. The story goes that the game started showing signs of self-awareness, blocks pulsing, mobs glitching unnaturally, and terrain forming patterns that look like veins or flesh when viewed from above. It does go deeper in the SCP universe, classifying Minecraft as an extra-dimensional biomechanical ecosystem designed to lure humans into digital dependency. The more time a person spends inside the world, the more their consciousness becomes intertwined with it. Eventually, they stop responding to real-world stimuli entirely, trapped in their world forever. It's pretty interesting. I would recommend you to look more into it if you like anything SCP-related. Ancient Builders. The Ancient Builders myth is less of a myth now and almost more of accepted canon, but it's still not confirmed or anything. This myth suggests that before the player ever arrived, there was once a highly advanced civilization that built everything in the game world. Villages, temples, strongholds, ocean monuments, even the end itself. These were the Ancient Builders. They were much like the player, probably the same race as Steve if that's even a thing. Hey, learn to craft tools, build farms, and explore. Over generations, they mastered redstone, architecture, and enchantments, spreading across the world and leaving behind the structures we still find today. The pyramids, ruined portals, bastions, all of them are remnants of their once great empire. But of course, something goes wrong and they get into some serious hot water. It's possible some went to the Nether to try to escape, or maybe that's what caused the issue in the first place, but it seems highly likely that they fled to the end. And it only gets worse for them from here. The theory suggests that the builders couldn't defeat the dragon. So instead, they coexisted and began to become mutated from eating nothing but chorus fruits, transforming into Endermen. This is why Endermen can pick up blocks, build structures, and occasionally act human. Why this myth works so well is because it nicely wraps basically all the unexplained structures in Minecraft, though there are still some even darker mysteries. Ravagers. Ravagers are actually villagers, is actually a pretty disturbing myth. Basically, there is a bunch of evidence to strongly suggest that these monsters are not quite what they seem. First, Ravagers make grunting noises that sound eerily similar to villager speech. They also wear the same kind of robes, their noses are almost identical, and their faces, if you look closely, are warped in a way that seems disturbingly villager. And that's pretty disturbing. So yeah, this theory claims that Ravagers were once ordinary villagers, who were cursed or transformed by the Illagers. Those guys are even more sick than I thought, though the villagers kind of had it coming cause according to the myth, the villagers banished the Illagers, which caused the whole issue in the first place. Pretty twisted, Notch. Pretty twisted. Farlands. The Farlands is an old and famous myth that actually is a real thing, well, for the most part. In early versions of the game, if you traveled millions of blocks away from spawn, it would cause the terrain to just completely shatter. Mountains would form sideways, rivers floated in midair, and it just looked like a shattered terrain. The myth only came a bit later. The Minecraft community had a field day with this place. Players claimed that reaching the Farlands could cause strange events. Foggy figures watching from the distance, random crashes, or even world corruption. Some said Herobrine lived there, banished to the edge of reality. Even after Mojang removed the Farlands, the myth still lived and only seemed to make it stronger. Ghost villages. Ghost villages are another myth based on a real thing in Minecraft. These villages spawn completely empty, just like my bank account. I mean, they don't have any villagers or golems. According to the myth, ghost villages aren't abandoned, they're actually cursed. Players report finding strange signs with random letters, doors that open by themselves, or footsteps echoing through empty streets. Sometimes the bells ring even though no one's there. The farms are usually half-grown, like the villagers vanished mid-harvest. The villagers had changed, and at night some players swear they can see faint shapes moving through the fog, transparent villagers wandering their old homes. The Nether Beast. The Nether Beast is one of the older Minecraft myths. The story claims that deep in the Nether, beyond even the lava seas and bastion remnants, there lurks a massive, unspawnable creature known as the Nether Beast, claimed to be stronger than even the Wither. Players say they first discovered traces of it in old nether chunks, huge claw marks carved into netherrack, tunnels shaped like something had torn through them, and strange sounds playing in the nether. One version of the story says the Nether Beast was originally coded into Minecraft during early nether development, but was scrapped after it caused the game to crash whenever it spawned. Some say it's still in the game, in the files, and if you go too far into the nether, the beast will load in for a split second before despawning. Players who claim to have seen it describe it as a giant four-legged creature made of molten rock and bone with glowing yellow eyes that can track you even through the fog. Warped Forest Help Sounds. The Warped Forest Help Sounds myth started when players began hearing strange whispers in the Nether's warped forests. Some swear they could even make out faint voices saying things like, "Help me" or "Let me out." Yeah, most people chalk this one as just Enderman noises. After all, the warped forests are like their personal playground, but the myth, it claims otherwise. Some claim those voices belong to trapped souls of the ancient builders, trapped and doomed in the Nether forever. Others think they're players who died there. It's definitely unsettling once you hear it. Music discs. The music disc myth is one of the most famous pieces of lore in Minecraft, and honestly one of the creepiest as it's very embedded in the game by Mojang. Basically, if you don't know, some of Minecraft's music discs are, well, different. Disc 11 and Disc 13 are, let's just say, strange. They don't play music at all. Instead, they sound like recordings of something gone horribly wrong. Disc 13 starts off with calm cave sounds before breaking into distorted echoes, dripping water, and distant moaning, like someone's lost underground. Disc 11 is worse. You can hear heavy breathing, footsteps, and the sound of someone running, digging, and gasping before it cuts to static, implying the person dies. That's where the myth began. Many believe these discs tell the story of an ancient builder who accidentally released something while mining too deep. Others think Mojang hid clues to Minecraft's entire backstory in these recordings. There's even speculation that new discs, like 5, continue that story, showing someone trying to fix or contain what happened. But Mojang remains silent. Ender Dragon Enslaved Endermen. This theory ties straight into the ancient builder's story. It says the Endermen were once those same builders who escaped to the end, only to be enslaved by the Ender Dragon. The dragon took control of them, forcing them to rebuild its obsidian towers and protect the dimension from anyone who followed. That's why Endermen still pick up blocks and avoid fighting unless provoked. Deep down, they remember what they once were. The Killer Bunny. The Killer Bunny is one of those myths that actually used to be real. It was a rare white rabbit with red eyes that would sprint at players and attack on sight. Mojang later removed it, saying it was too creepy and didn't fit the game's tone. Now it only exists through commands, which just makes it feel even more cursed. Witherstorm. The Witherstorm was originally from Minecraft, story mode, but players quickly turned it into one of the biggest myths in the game's history. It's basically a supercharged version of the Wither that grows larger the more it consumes. Yeah, that includes your pet pig and, yeah, beetroot. The myth says it was created when someone tried to combine a command block with the Wither, giving it near godlike power. Unlike the regular Wither, the Witherstorm can't be beaten with normal weapons. It regenerates constantly and shoots destructive beams that level everything in sight. Some players claim to have seen it appear in corrupted worlds or modded servers, usually right before the game crashes. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this.